Every employee when they start here gets a lab notebook. When I was at TRW in the 1980s, the first thing on my first day I was issued a lab notebook and given instructions for how it works, which was really interesting to me. Every day in your lab notebook, on the first blank page, you write the date, and then you take all of your notes for the day of anything you're doing that's important or noteworthy. At the end of the day, you draw a line under it, slash out the rest of the page, and you sign it. You do that every day. We're told that that is a legal document. If the company ever needs to go to court to defend something they were doing, or follow up on a patent or anything else, they can basically call forth those notebooks, and they belong to the company. I instituted the same thing here, a little bit more casually. We don't sign it every day, and we don't, it's not going to likely be a legal document, but it's really useful. I have notebooks from all of my employees from the beginning, and we can go back and say, how did this employee do this particular recipe as we were developing it 3 years ago, if we need to go back to it. Or if we're working on a new recipe, we've been working on a chocolate cake recipe with real chocolate instead of cocoa powder, and the fat in the chocolate affects the sponge, and how does the amount of cocoa butter affect the texture of the sponge? We take notes as we go, and we tweak, and then we look at how things change, and we tweak again. It might be process stuff, it might be production, how we're making things, anything. I have a young lady from the Art Institute, just started about 2 weeks ago. Just gave her a lab notebook. So she's learning about her lab notebook. And she'll have to learn how to use it. That takes a little bit of growing, but everyone has one. I'm on my 4th, I think. I scribble in it every day. If I'm working on a new recipe, because with our bonbons, we make a recipe one time, we always sketch out the basics of what's the structure of this recipe going to be. If I'm going to make a piece of chocolate, and I'm going to make it with Kalamanda, which is a beautiful little bright citrus. I have to start with what's the structure of the emulsion I want? How fluid do I want it? How much water do I have to deal with in the emulsion? What's the flavor? If the flavor is delicate, I just did a persimmon piece, I need to minimize the amount of cream in it. Less water activity from the cream, more from the persimmons. Water activity correlates to shelf life. The more free water in the system, lower the shelf life. That's basically scientific method, because that's everywhere.